guys know how when you're an adventurer, you kind of have like a cause, right? Like you have a goal set in mind from the start, you know, like something you want to achieve or something like that. What if you guys were an adventurer? I mean, I wouldn't, heaven's sakes. But if you were, hypothetically, what would you fight for, quote unquote?
You know, I had to think a lot about this question, and I think I'd fight for chicken nuggies.
Ben, what about you?
You know, I had to think a lot about this question too, and I gotta say, my answer does not even begin to compare to Michael's answer. So I think I gotta go with chicken nuggies.
You guys suck. For the listeners to know, this is the second time we had to start recording this specific session.
Yeah, my computer crashed.
Neither of them said chicken nuggies the first time, and it was my joke that I was going to say chicken nuggies, and now they stole my dang thunder.
You want to know the best part about that is I originally thought that you were going to say that, and I thought about it at first, but then I decided to go with the real answer, so this time I was like, I can't pass it up.
Well, I would fight for chicken nuggies. Welcome to Traveler's Tips and Tales. I'm Jake.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Ben.
And today we're talking about fighters. The perfect, the class that you could just take and you can do whatever the heck you want with it. You get like 1,000,000 ASIs, so you can take so many feats or add so much to your stats. You could do whatever you want with fighter. It's really kind of an open box that you can, it's like a piece of clay that you can just mold into any shape. Whereas some of the other classes are a little bit more straightforward. But, welcome to Fighter. We're talking about Fighter today.
Yo.
So, diving on into it, we're going to start with some of the key key ability scores that you're going to want to concentrate on when building a fighter. Some of the three, I'm just narrowed it down to the top three, and those are all the physical ability scores, in my opinion. So, you're going to want to concentrate on either strength, dex, or constitution. Depending on what kind of build you want to go for as a fighter, depending on if you want to be like really tanky, you might put con and dex or higher, so that way you have a higher AC and more hit points. Or maybe you're going to go with strength or dex because you want to deal lots of damage. Depending on how you want to deal damage, maybe you're dual wielding, like finesse weapons, and you can focus on dex with that, or you're just going with really big, heavy attacks with strength. It's all kind of up to you. Maybe you're going for like a ranged like maybe an archer type of fighter, because in my opinion, fighter is yet another better comparison to ranger. Because I feel like you can kind of do more with it, but
it hurts, but it's true.
It hurts, but it's true. There's like a couple different things in D&D where it's just like, the way I explain this is yet a better alternative to ranger. But yeah, if you ask me, your three biggest things to focus on are either, you can choose between either strength, dex, or con, whichever one you might want to be the highest.
Or alternatively, you could put intelligence as your highest, because you're gonna be Eldritch Knight later.
Maybe.
Big brain plays.
Maybe.
Big
yeah,
brain.
I mean, plan out for what you're gonna do later in the levels. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think the most important key ASs are?
Yeah, for me, Constitution is important for every fighter. No matter what kind of fighter you want to be, Constitution is going to play a big role. And then Dexterity and Strength, choosing between those two as one of your higher stats, that's going to really depend on what kind of fighter you want to be, what kind of weapons you're going to be using. So really having a plan for what you want your character to turn out, that's going to determine what ability scores you should prioritize.
And I mean, honestly, you should probably plan out for whatever character you are, whatever class. You should try and accommodate your ASIs from the start. For what subclass you're gonna take. Maybe are you gonna take like Magic Initiator or whatever? I think that's the feat. Is that the one where you get spells from other places and such? Yeah. So depending on just like whatever you think you might need later in levels. think it's always smart to look at. I personally think that Constitution is one of the more important ability scores in the whole game. I think everybody needs hit points. It's pretty important. For me, typically Constitution's either my first, second, or third highest stat. So, what do you think, Ben?
It's obviously strength. That's the
fair.
most important thing you can possibly need. Because who else can leap over a 30-foot chasm while wearing plate mail armor, while wielding a greatsword, and then cleave a goblin in half, and then catch a falling stone door and hold it for a full 30 minutes of combat?
I'm sorry, are you trying to describe a scene from
That's-
Goblin Slayer?
Just whack good and whack hard. I can respect that. But yeah, so moving on from key ability scores, next thing we're going to look at here is some of the unique features that only fighters get. Starting off at first level, actually, is Second Wind. Michael, take it away.
Yeah, so Second Wind, essentially you're using a bonus action to regain hit points equal to a D10 plus your fighter level. So if you are fighter level 1, you're getting a D10 plus 1. And once you use the feature, you must wait until you rest before you can use it again. Whether it's a short rest or a long rest does not matter.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for Second Wind. I will say a lot of the fighter abilities are pretty simple. Fighter is a pretty simple class to start off, if you ask me. So a lot of them you just get the same ability, but you can use it more times per rest later in levels. Second Wind's the only one really that you don't get extra uses of later on. But the next thing that fighters get that's pretty cool is called Action Surge, and you get it at second level, and you can start to push yourself beyond your normal limits for a moment. On your turn, you can take one additional action on top of your regular action and a possible bonus action. So pretty much you just get to get an extra free action, once per turn. And then you don't get, you can use this feature again once you finish a short or long rest, just like that one. But starting at 17th level, you get to do it twice between rests, which is pretty cool. So, late game fighter, you get a lot of extra attacks. So you can swing 4 times, and then you can action surge and do 4 more times. Pretty ridiculous sometimes.
Yeah, honorable mention for unique features. Fighters get
Yeah,
more
it's
attacks
pretty
at
ridiculous.
level 20 with
It's
one
pretty
action.
crazy. And also, action surges are also very useful for Eldritch Knights too, because then you could cast 2 different spells in the same turn. It's pretty crazy. Or maybe cast a spell and whack someone good, But
Yeah, cast a spell and then still get
You
4
can do that
attacks.
anyway.
Yeah, and then one last thing, you can only use 1 action surge on the same turn, so you can't go whole crazy, No 12 attacks. We'll just settle at 8, okay? Like reasonable people.
Imagine if it's stacked, though, like you use it the first time to get to 8, and then you use it a second time and it goes up to 16.
Well, no, because you just have 3 actions.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if it stacks.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, because you just get an extra action, which every action is 4 attacks. So it'd be 12.
Man, I'm just saying some stuff that sounds dope, alright?
But yeah, the next big feature, Benjamin.
Ah, yes. Indomitable. Like the spirit of any fighter. You reroll failed saving throws.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. You get it once at 9th level, twice at 13th level, and at 3 times.
Yeah,
at
so like
17th
if you
level.
fail a saving throw, you can use your Indomitable and reroll it.
Reroll it.
And then you get more uses of it later at later levels.
Just because.
Pretty useful.
Why not?
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of the fighter abilities are pretty simple, but pretty useful. But yeah, moving on. Well, we got subclasses, and the first subclass is Arcane Archer. And this is from Sword Coast, or no, not Sword Coast. This is from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Michael.
Yeah, so bear with me here. I know I said the same thing on the last episode, but this subclass is a little bit much. So I'm going to try and explain it as efficiently as possible to you guys, and hopefully it doesn't get lost, So at 3rd level, you get 2 things. So the first thing you get is Arcane Archer Lore, and what that is you get to choose to gain proficiency in either Arcana or Nature, and depending on which one you choose, you learn either Prestidigitation or Druidcraft. And then also at 3rd level, you get a ability called Arcane Shot. And what this does is it adds magical effects to your arrows. And at this point, you get 2 different magical arrow options. Later on at higher levels, you'll be able to get some more. And that would be at 7th, 10th, 15th, and 18th levels. For the Arcane Shot options, you have an Arcane Shot save DC for some of them, and that's going to be equal to 8 plus Proficiency plus Intelligence modifier. This is another thing where Intelligence is going to come in big for these kinds of fighters. The first one that you can choose from is Banishing Arrow. That is essentially just banishing your target to a random, harmless location in the Feywild. And this is done by a Charisma saving throw. So, once again, that's one of those things where you're going to be using that saving throw immediately with that one. Beguiling Arrow is the next one, and that is going to be whenever you hit a creature with that arrow, they take an extra 2d6 psychic damage, and then you choose one ally within 30 feet of the target. The target must make a Wisdom saving throw, or it is charmed by the chosen ally until the start of your next turn. So that's a good way to kind of just increase a little bit more field presence for you and be able to have a little bit more control of the field for your whole team. Also, any of these things that deal damage, the damage also increases at 18th level. It doubles to 46. The next arrow is Bursting Arrow. What it does is the arrow detonates after your attack. Immediately after the arrow hits the creature that you were targeting, the target and all other creatures within 10 feet of it take 2d6 force damage each. So that's going to be in addition to your initial arrow damage as well. I forgot to mention that on the last one. So the 2d6 plus your arrow damage from before. Enfeebling Arrow. This one is going to be when you hit the creature, they take 2d6 necrotic damage. They must also succeed on a con save, or the damage dealt by the weapon attack, or by their weapon attacks, is halved until the start of your next turn. This allows you to make them hit a lot less hard. It's a little bit reliant on the whole saving throw there, but being able to cut their attacks down is super nice sometimes if you guys are starting to struggle.
Yeah.
Then you have Grasping Arrow. When this arrow strikes the target, some grasping poisonous brambles wrap around the target. The creature hit by the arrow takes an extra 2d6 poison damage. Its speed is reduced by 10 feet, and it takes another 2d6 slashing damage the first time on each turn it moves 1 foot or more without teleporting. The target or any creature that can reach it can use the action to remove the brambles with a successful athletics check against your Arcane Shot save DC. Otherwise, the brambles last for 1 minute or until you use this option again. That's a lot of damage.
Hear me out for that one. Instead of brambles, the arrow is just a normal arrow, but instead of the arrow tip, it's a little hand with like really sharp nails.
Ooh.
So you just shoot it, and then it just like grabs onto their leg, and it's just like it like weighs a lot or something, so they're slower. And if they try and walk away, it just like scrapes their leg or whatever.
Yeah, you could reflavor this entire class into just being arrow.
Yeah,
it's a lot of craziness.
I just think that one's really funny.
Also, completely unrelated, but I feel like it's significant. My dad just came in, not without saying a word, because recording, and he just handed me a quart of ice cream from Fenton's.
That's fantastic.
All right.
I now know what
life.
I'm really fighting for. It's not nuggets. It's ice cream.
With newly acquired ice cream. Go ahead and continue, Michael.
Yes. So I have 3 more arrows to bring to you guys.
Yeah.
This next one is the Piercing Arrow. When you use this option, you don't make an attack roll. Instead, the arrow shoots forward in a line, which is 1 foot wide and 30 feet long before disappearing. The arrow passes harmlessly through objects, ignoring cover. Each creature in the line must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes damage as if it were hit by the arrow, plus an extra 1d6 piercing damage. On a successful save, a target takes half as much damage. You can damage so many creatures this way. If you can get them all to line up, you can get all your enemies in one shot if you're lucky.
Yeah. And it ignores cover, too, which is very helpful.
Oh, yeah.
I'm hearing long hallway, a million cultists.
Yes. but it's only a 30 feet long. So
yeah.
However many enemies
cultists.
you can reach in 30 feet.
6 cultists dead.
No, let's say 12. They're squeezing.
Yeah.
They're squeezing. Half of them are halflings.
No, they're all halflings.
Oh, God. 18 cultists.
All right. The next arrow is the Seeking Arrow, and this grants the ability for the arrow to seek out a target. When you use this option, you don't make an attack roll. Instead, choose one creature you have seen in the last minute. The arrow flies towards that creature, moving around corners if necessary, and ignoring up to 3/4 cover. If the target is within the weapon's range and there is a path large enough for the arrow to travel to the target must make a dexterity saving throw. Otherwise, the arrow disappears after traveling as far as it can. On a failed save, the target takes damage as if it were hit by the arrow, plus an extra 1d6 force damage, and you get to learn the target's current location. On a successful save, the target takes half the damage, and you don't learn its location.
It's still cool, though.
Dude, imagine you get an enemy down to like 2 health and they just start booking it away. At first you're like, you know what, I'll let him go. I'll let him send a message to his teammates. And then you're like, you know what, no, he doesn't get to send a message. I'm gonna strike him down. I'm gonna use this arrow to weave through this maze of a hallway. And then it just hits him, and then you find his body 10 minutes later when you go through the hallway.
Well, if it hits him, you know where he is. So.
Yeah, exactly.
You know exactly where his body is.
Well, yeah, you know where his body is, but you
out.
don't stumble across it because you got to go to all the side rooms to check for loot. Come on now.
I guess.
Or, hear me out, you don't even know where he's at, and it still kills him. He's just dead somewhere, and you have no idea where.
He failed the dex save, but he still died.
No, he passed it because then you don't know the location.
Yeah. He passed the dex save, but still died.
All right. I have one more arrow. This is the Shadow Arrow. This will occlude your foe's vision in shadows. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what the word occlude means, but I'm going to keep reading this. The creature hit by the arrow takes an extra 2d6 psychic damage, and now it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be unable to see anything farther than 5 feet away until the start of your next turn. Now, listen here. During this quarantine time, one of the biggest games right now is Among Us. You basically just sabotaged the lights. All right, this man's got to go fix the light panel.
I think maybe it's just a typo and it's exclude.
I don't know. It says occlude, OCCLUDE. I'm gonna look up that word later.
I'm doing it right now.
So at 7th level, you get 3 things. You get an additional arcane shot option. So this is cool. You get another one of those arrow types. You also get magic arrow. You gain the ability to infuse arrows with magic. Whenever you fire a non-magical arrow from a short bow or long bow, you can make it magical for the purpose of overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks and damage. That's really good because around those mid-range levels, that's when you really start getting into the damage immunities and resistances to standard bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing.
Yeah.
That would save so much.
By the way, Michael, the word occlude is a verb, and it means to stop, close up, or obstruct.
Okay, so you're obstructing their vision.
Yeah, you're like blocking it.
See, I don't know why they got to use these like really complex words on me.
We're not big brain people. Come on.
Also at 7th level, you get curving shot. You learn how to direct an errant arrow towards a new target. When you make an attack roll with a magic arrow and miss, you can use a bonus action to re-roll the attack roll against a different target within 60 feet of the original target.
Oh, that's so cool.
Hey, I'm sorry, I missed you. I'm
so
gonna hit your
cool.
buddy.
That's so cool.
I'm gonna use the same arrow that I just missed you with, and I don't have to go fetch it first.
Wait. Within 60 feet of the original target.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, theoretically, if there was somebody beyond your maximum range, you could shoot at someone that was within range.
And then if you miss,
curve
and then
it
you
around, and then hit that guy past your maximum range.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
Congratulations.
All right. 10th level, you get another arcane shot option, so you get another special arrow.
Hold on, I'm still thinking about this. You're just some general on the rear lines, like, I'm safe, there's no one on Earth who could shoot that far, and then you see somebody, like, 60 feet away on the wall, an arrow flies past them, curves, and then aims right at you.
He, like, barely dodges out of the way, and he's like, "Ooh, good." Oh, you like, wipes the sweat off his forehead, and then all of a sudden the arrow's just...
Here's the
flying
thing.
at
I
you.
like to think of it as, like, someone's directly in front of you, all you have is a bow and arrow ready to shoot, so you shoot at them within, like, 10 feet, which means you have disadvantage.
Yeah, if you're 5 feet away from them,
Yeah.
disadvantage.
So you got your disadvantage, you miss, but then you hit their enemy, or their buddy, like, 40 feet back, and they're like, haha, miss me, and it's like, I wasn't aiming for you.
Hey, Michael,
Totally not, no,
I have a
what?
question. Why don't you just aim for the second guy?
Listen. You might get lucky, and you might be able to get this other dude out of your face.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'll accept that answer.
That way you can continue to be the shooty boy.
The ranged boy. Oh, that's fair. I accept that answer.
Yeah. So, at 15th level, you get an ability called Ever Ready Shot. And what this does is your magical archery is available whenever battle starts. If you roll initiative and have no uses of arcane shot remaining, you regain one use of it. And you also gain an additional arcane shot option at 15th level. So at this point you have most of the arcane shot options. At 18th level you pretty much get them all because you get another one.
Yeah.
And that's when they also all improve from like the 2d6 to 46 or the 1d6 to 2d6.
Yeah.
So it's a huge payout on level 18.
Yeah.
And that is it for Arcane Archer. It was quite a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it had to be done.
I kind of forgot to add that fighter, you don't get much from the class itself, but a lot of it comes from the subclasses. So there's kind of a couple, I think there's like maybe like one more... Or no, I think it's the normal. But I mean, they're a little bit more extensive than just, like, normal stuff for their subclasses. They get a little extra stuff because their basic class is so basic and unflavored, if you will. But yeah, so moving on to the next subclass, and this one is from the PHB. Good old PHB, if you ask me. It's called Battle Master, and there's a kind of a bit to go into here as well, I will add. So starting off, when you first take Battle Master, just a cherry on top, you get to you learn proficiency with one type of artisan's tools. So that's cool. Congrats. You can like make glass or whatever now, if you want. But otherwise, it's not really that important. The big thing is that you learn this thing called maneuvers. And starting off at the beginning, you learn 3 maneuvers. And you'll learn more along the way, but you start off with 3. And the way you use maneuvers is by spending superiority dice. And to start off, you have 4 superiority dice, which at the time are d8s. You can expend your superiority die to use a maneuver, pretty much. And you get superiority dice back when you finish a short or long rest, so... pretty chill. You only have to take a short rest to get your, like a bunch of your abilities back. And some of these superiority dice involve saving throws, and for that, your DC is established based on your strength. So whatever your DC will be 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your strength. So another reason to maybe have a higher strength rather than other things. But let's get into these maneuvers. So I'm just going to list off all the maneuvers first, and then we'll go into all the other abilities that you get as Battle Master. So starting off with the first one is Commander's Strike. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can forego one of your attacks and use a bonus action to direct one of your companions to strike. When you do so, choose a friendly creature you can see or hear you and expend one superiority die. That creature can immediately use its reaction to make one melee attack, adding the superiority die to the attack's damage roll. So at the time, right now, this is a D8, but it does go all the way up to D12 eventually. The next attack you can do, the next maneuver you can do is called the Disarming Attack. And when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expand one superiority die to attempt to disarm the target, forcing it to drop one item of your choice that it's holding. You add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll, and the target must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, it drops the object you choose, and the object lands at its feet. The next one is called the Distracting Strike. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend one superiority die to distract the creature, giving your allies an opening. You add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll, and the next attack roll against that target by an attacker other than you has advantage if the attack is made more before the start of your next turn. It's pretty helpful. The next one is called Evasive Footwork. When you move, you can expand one superiority die, rolling the die and adding the number rolled to your AC until you stop moving. So that's pretty nice. If you know that you're about to take a attack of opportunity, you're not going to disengage from somebody. You can do this beforehand, and then they're less likely to hit you. Kind of helpful. The next one is called a Fainting Attack. You can expand one superiority die and use a bonus action on your turn to feint. Choose one creature within 5 feet of you as your target. You have advantage on your next attack roll this turn against that creature. If the attack hits, add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll, and the advantage is lost if not used on the turn you gain it. The next one's called Goading Attack. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend one superiority die to attempt to goad the target into attacking you. You add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll, and the target must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the target has disadvantage on all attack rolls against targets other than you until the end of your next turn.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. The next one's called Lunging Attack, and when you make a melee weapon attack on your turn, you can expend one superiority die to increase your reach of the attack by 5 feet. If you hit, you add the superiority die to the damage roll. Next one's called Maneuvering Attack. There's quite a good bunch of these. We're about halfway through, I think. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expand one superiority die to maneuver one of your comrades into a more advantageous position. You add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll, and you choose a friendly creature who can see or hear you. That creature can use its reaction to move up to half its speed without provoking opportunity attacks from the target of your attack. Could be very helpful to get someone out of thick and thin if they're maybe not so tanky, The next one is called Menacing Attack. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expand one superiority die to attempt to frighten the target. You add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll, and the target must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, it is frightened of you until the end of your next turn. Next one's called Parry. When another creature damages you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to expand one superiority die to reduce the damage by the number you roll on your superiority dice, plus your dexterity modifier. Next one's called Precision Attack. When you make a weapon attack roll against a creature, you can expand one superiority die to add it to the roll. You can use this maneuver before or after making the attack roll, but before any effects of the attack are applied. So I think what it means by that is you can do it before or after you roll, but you can't know if you hit or miss yet. The next one's called Pushing Attack. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend one superiority die to attempt to drive the target back. You add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll, and if the target is large or smaller, it must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, you push the target up to 15 feet away from you. Next one's called Rally. On your turn, you can use a bonus action and expend one superiority die to bolster the resolve of one of your companions. When you do so, choose a friendly creature who can see or hear you. The creature gains temporary hit points equal to the superiority die plus your charisma modifier. This next one's called Riposte. When a creature misses you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to expand one superiority die to make the melee weapon attack against the creature. If you hit, you add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll. The next one, this is the second to last, we're almost there, boys, is called Sweeping Attack. When you hit a creature with melee weapon attack, you can expand one superiority die to attempt to damage another creature with the same attack. Choose another creature within 5 feet of the original target and within your reach. If the original attack roll would hit the second creature, it takes damage equal to the number you roll on your superiority die. The damage is of the same type dealt by the original attack. And the last one is called the Trip Attack. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend one superiority die to attempt to knock the target prone. You add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll, and if the target is large or smaller, it must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, you knock the target prone. Congratulations, we are through all of the maneuvers.
Hey.
Alright. So, you can choose 3 of those at 3rd level. Moving on. Now we're at 7th level, is when you get your next feature. And to start off, you get to pick 2 more maneuvers to add to your, known maneuvers, I guess. And also, you gain another superiority dice. So, you can do it more often now. Also, you get another feature called Know Your Enemy. If you spend at least 1 minute observing or interacting with another creature outside of combat, you can learn certain information about its capabilities compared to your own. So it's only relative to your stats. The DM tells you if the creature is equal, superior, or inferior in regards of 2 of the following characteristics of your choice. So you can find out if their strength is better, worse, or the same as yours, dex, constitution, the armor class, their current hit points, total class, if they have any classes, and total fighter class, like levels in fighter, if they have any. And then the next thing is when you hit 10th level, and it's pretty simple. You just get to learn 2 more additional maneuvers, and your die moves up to be a D10 instead of a D8. And then at level 15, you get to learn 2 additional maneuvers, and you get an extra superiority dice, so you can do it a little more frequently. And starting at 15th level, when you roll initiative, have no superiority dice, you get 1. So, if you have a really long in-between rests and you used all your superiority dice already, you get 1. There you go.
Nice.
You can keep on going. And then at 18th level, finally, you get your superiority dice becomes a D12, which is pretty helpful because, if you think about it, every single attack adds the superiority dice to, either your AC or whatever you're doing with it, or it's adding damage to the target. So the bigger the die, the better. But yeah, that's Battlemaster. This is a bit of an information dump, and I'm sorry for that, but it's personally one of my favorite. I think a lot of the maneuvers are really fun.
Yeah, definitely.
And it kind of adds a lot of flavor to your fighter, if you ask me. But anyways, moving on.
I gotta say, Jake, that was pretty difficult to maneuver through.
Oh boy.
I'm not gonna lie, my mouth got a little dry in the middle of those maneuvers. I was like, oh man.
Starting to get cotton mouth,
Yeah, I was like, come on, tough through, I can do it. Yeah. But yeah, that's Battlemaster. It's one of my favorite subclasses for the fighter, actually. But anyways, moving on. Michael.
Yeah. So our next one, this is a subclass that I don't see very often, and that's the Cavalier. So this is a fighter subclass that focuses mostly on riding into battle on a mount, such as a horse. At 3rd level, you gain proficiency in either animal handling, history, insight, performance, or persuasion. Or what you can do is learn one language of your choice if you don't want that proficiency. Also at 3rd level, your mastery as a rider becomes apparent. You have advantage on saving throws made to avoid falling off your mount. If you fall off your mount and descend no more than 10 feet, you can land on your feet if you're not incapacitated. Finally, mounting or dismounting a creature costs you only 5 feet of movement rather than half of your speed. That is one of the biggest things for Cavaliers, is being able to mount and unmount very easily.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And when you fall off your mount, being able to recover quickly.
Yeah, you just hop right back up on there, boy.
Yeah. And then also at 3rd level, yes, a third thing at 3rd level. It's fantastic. Nice. You get Unwavering Mark. You can menace your foes, foiling their attacks and punishing them for harming others. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can mark the creature until the end of your next turn. This effect ends early if you are incapacitated or you die, or if someone else marks the creature. While it is within 5 feet of you, a creature marked by you has a disadvantage on any attack roll that doesn't target you. In addition, if a creature marked by you deals damage to anyone other than you, you can make special melee weapon attack against the marked creature as a bonus action on your next turn. You have advantage on the attack roll, and if it hits, the attack's weapon deals extra damage to the target equal to half your fighter level. Nice. Regardless of the number of creatures you mark, you can make this special attack a number of times equal to your strength modifier, and you regain all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest.
Cool.
That is the longest description of ability for this class, and even that wasn't too terribly long.
It was no Battle Master or Arcane Archer, if you ask me.
Oh God, no.
I like how we put the two like chunkiest ones right up at the start.
Hey man, that's just how it works.
They were alphabetical.
Yeah. So at 7th level, you get an ability called Warding Maneuver. Not from that list of maneuvers, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think
you
so.
learn to fend off strikes directed at you, your mount, or other creatures nearby. If you or a creature you can see within 5 feet of you is hit by an attack, you can roll 1d8 as a reaction if you're wielding a melee weapon or a shield. Roll the die and add the number rolled to the target's AC against that attack. If the attack still hits, the target has resistance against the attack's damage. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your Constitution modifier, and you regain all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest. Cool. That's awesome. Being able to make it harder to hit your allies is always fun.
Yeah.
Hold the line. This is an ability you get at 10th level. You become a master of locking down your enemies. Creatures provoke an opportunity attack from you when they move 5 feet or more while within your reach. And if you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, the target speed is reduced to 0 until the end of the turn. Sound familiar, Jacob?
You just got Sentinel, and you didn't even have to take Sentinel. Congrats, you get one more ASI that you didn't take Sentinel of.
You just got a free feat.
Pretty much. A little bit. Not exactly, but for the most part.
It takes place of like a whole ability in your class.
You got like half of the feat.
For free. Yeah. At 15th level, you get an ability called Ferocious Charger. You can run down your foes whether you're mounted or not. If you move at least 10 feet in a straight line right before attacking a creature, and you hit it with the attack, that target must succeed on a strength saving throw. The DC for that saving throw is 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your strength modifier, and if they fail, they will be knocked prone. You can use this feature only once, but you can use it on every turn, and there's no reusing it on like rests or anything like that. So that's pretty cool.
You know what I just realized actually? Going back to I think it was called Hold the Line, right?
Yeah.
The last one, the one that's kind of like Sentinel. The thing about Sentinel is that you can't use Sentinel if the other person has Sentinel. You can't do that reaction attack if the other person that they're attacking, right, is also has the feat. But that's not the feat, so you could.
Yeah.
Which is great. Because, like, the golden rule of Sentinel is that only one person in the party should have Sentinel. No one else should take it, right?
Yeah.
But that's not Sentinel. It's pretty much Sentinel, but without the word Sentinel.
It doesn't have that caveat.
Yeah, so you can still do it if you are the Sentinel person. Nice. Yeah. I just realized
I gotta say, every time you guys say Hold the Line, I get Mass Effect flashbacks, and it's really not doing me good in the whole mental state.
Oh boy, we should move on then.
Alright, the final ability that you get as a Cavalier fighter, it's called Vigilant Defender, and you get it at 18th level. You respond to danger with extraordinary vigilance. In combat, you get a special reaction that you can take once on every creature's turn except your own. You can use this special reaction only to make an opportunity attack, and you can't use it on the same turn that you take your normal reaction.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm hearing is use your normal reaction on your turn, and then that special reaction on literally everybody else's.
Yeah. Or like whenever you would normally make a reaction.
Yeah. So you essentially
you get
have
2 reactions.
You have
Kind
more than that. You guarantee at least 2 if one can trigger or something. But I mean, depending on how many enemies you have, you could potentially have a very high number of reactions every round.
Michael and Ben, I think you know very well, because of one of my characters in specific, that we'll get to soon. I really like having multiple reactions.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, I think he's like next. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys will hear about that in 2 weeks, hopefully, because next week we're hoping to have a special episode. So
yeah.
You guys like multiple reactions, just wait till I release my homebrew fighter subclass, the Anti-Mage.
Anyways, is that all for Cavalier over there?
that is all for Cavalier.
All right.
It's pretty cool.
Then in that case, let's move on
Time to get the fans what they
to
want.
Champion.
Damn.
Nope. It's
Not
Champion
quite yet,
next.
Ben.
All right.
We can never forget the subclass that, as I like to call it, and I think a lot of people like to call it, puts more fighter in your fighter. Because your fighter wasn't fighter enough.
I heard you like fighter,
Anyways.
so I put fighter in your fighter, so you can have more fighter while you're being a fighter.
Yep. Anyways, this is Champion. Welcome. For the first thing that you get, at level 3, you get an improved critical. And when you crit, you can crit on both 19 and 20. So you just doubled your crit chance with every die. Congratulations. Moving on. At level 7, you get Remarkable Athlete. You can add half your proficiency bonus, rounded up, to any strength, dex, or constitution checks you make that doesn't already use your proficiency bonus. So if you somehow have one of those skills that doesn't have the little dot next to it, you get to add half of it anyways. In addition, when you make a running long jump, the distance you can cover increases by a number of feet equal to your strength modifier. So you can jump, like Ben said earlier, you can cross that, 30-foot gap all by yourself, just by bounding with your defined legs. Moving on, at 10th level, you get a feature called Additional Fighting Style, and what you get is you get an extra fighting style. Congrats. At 15th level, you get Superior Critical, which does the same thing that you got at a 3rd level, but with 18 through 20 now. So it's 18, 19, and 20. You now have triple the chance than anyone else has. Any other scum on the party has the chance to roll a crit. You have 3 times the chance. And then, ending off at 18th level, you get a feature that's called Survivor. You attain the pinnacle of resilience in battle. At the start of each of your turns, you regain hit points equal to 5 plus your Constitution modifier if you have no more than half of your hit points left. You don't gain this benefit if you have 0 hit points. So, okay, it doesn't stabilize you or anything, but you literally passively heal if you're less than half. What?
That makes it very hard to kill you.
What? This man is untouchable. Well, I mean, you can damage him, but, like, to what end?
It's almost like he's a champion.
Back. He's a champion. He is a champion. But
Well, listen, to be a champion, you have to be able to increase your chances of hitting hard, and then also increase your chances of living long.
That's fair.
To continue hitting hard.
I don't think anyone can argue that champion puts more fighter in your fighter. I rest my case.
Rocky Balboa wasn't even a monk. He was just a champion fighter with tavern brawler.
Not the worst idea, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways.
Anyway, I believe it is time to give the viewers what they came here to see.
Obviously.
Which is me talking for more than 5 minutes for the whole entire podcast so far.
Ben's about to go on a huge time frame.
Anyways, next up, we have Eldritch Knight. Now, have you ever looked at a fighter and thought, you know, I like this fighter, but I wish it was a wizard? Well, now you can. Even if you've never thought that before in your life, now you should.
Yeah.
Eldritch Knight is literally just putting some wizard in your fighter. When you take it at level 3, you get wizard cantrips and spells.
Nice.
And although you never get to the same level of spell that wizards get, obviously, because you're only a half caster, but you do get something, I think, a little bit better. For a fighter, that is. You get an ability called Weapon Bond. And what it allows you to do is, through a magical arcane ritual, you form a bond with your weapon. And as you level up, you can eventually have 3 bound weapons at a time.
Cool.
And this bound weapon, you can never be disarmed from this weapon. No one can ever take this from you. You will never drop it unless you are incapacitated.
Not even a battle master with parry? Or
not even a battle master with parry.
Dang it!
Even if
deal the extra damage, though.
Even if somehow you are, you know, this weapon is taken away from you, you are disarmed, or you give it up, or you just throw it. I don't know. You can
somehow it's not in your hand.
You can use a bonus action to just teleport it to your hand. As long as you're on the same plane of existence with it.
That shouldn't be too difficult.
Which, theoretically, here's a theoretical situation. You have 3 bound weapons.
Yeah.
Or even 2. You have 2 bound weapons. And you're fighting right next to a portal. Okay?
Just leave one on one side of the portal and one on the other.
You take your greatsword and you use it and you slash into somebody and you throw it. Yeah, your improvised weapon throwing it, but you throw it, you impale somebody, you jump through the portal to help out your party on the other side, you teleport your secondary weapon, this long sword you carry with you that happens to be already on this side, to your hand, you stab somebody, you jump back through, you action surge. You get your greatsword back, you keep attacking. It's dumb, I know, but it's pretty fun in actual practice because you can use it on a spear. It makes spears suddenly good.
Yeah, you're not throwing away your one weapon.
Yeah, well, you are, but you're just getting it back.
Well, yeah, you're not losing it because of it.
Yeah, no, I'm curious. Could you use that ability on a single arrow?
I don't know.
Permitting?
Yeah, ask your DM. I would allow it.
That'd be fun.
But not
don't
the
break
point
it.
Here. Come on, there's more. There's more to this class, guys. Let's keep going.
Don't break your one arrow.
7th level, you get war magic, and I know you guys said action surge with arcane fighter. You or Eldritch Knight. You cast a spell and you action surge. You attack. Well, guess what? You don't actually have to use your action surge. Because at 7th level, when you use your action to cast a cantrip, you can make one weapon attack as a bonus action.
Nice.
So you can, I don't know, Blade Ward and still attack, and then you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Or Firebolt some guy 100 feet away and then stab some guy 5 feet away. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. Or maybe your cantrip is a close range, so you just
Shocking
lightning
grasp
lure.
and then
Ooh,
stab
you can
them.
lightning lure someone to you, and then you stab them. Big brain.
Yes. I may or may not have done that before while playing Eldritch Knight, not gonna lie. And then at level 10, you get Eldritch Strike. You get real good at hitting people real hard. When you hit somebody, they have disadvantage on the save against your next spell.
Ooh.
you just hit them real hard, and they're like, "Ow!" And then you hit them with a spell, and they're like, "Oh no,
Oh, oh no!"
At level 15, you get Arcane Charge. Now you know that spell. What was it called? The one where you teleport 30 feet as a bonus action?
Misty Step.
Misty Step. Well, how about teleporting 30 feet as a free action?
I mean, that sounds nice.
Okay.
Whenever you use your action surge, you can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space. You can
Does that use your action that you get with the action surge, or do you just do it?
No, you can use it before or after the additional action.
Oh.
So you can use your action
Alrighty
surge,
then.
make 8 attacks, and then teleport 30 feet away.
Oh.
Jeez.
Okay.
Or,
Alrighty.
alternatively, you could make 4 attacks, action surge, use a cantrip, bonus action, make an attack after casting a cantrip, and then teleport 30 feet away. It works. And then at level 18, you get improved war magic. At 18th level, when you use your action to cast a spell, you can make 1 weapon attack as a bonus action. Any spell. Any spell at all.
Nice.
Nice.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but that to me sounds like the literal perfect embodiment of everything I want out of a fighter. A fighter who can make the DM pull his own hair out while also making him go, "That was awesome."
Yeah.
Now,
It's pretty cool.
next up, we have another very, very cool fighter subclass, the Samurai. Now, this one might get some of you guys excited, especially if you're into Samurai, like, I'm into Samurai. It is more of a role-play-driven fighter archetype. You get additional proficiencies at level 3. You get to choose one of the following skills to gain proficiency in: History, Insight, Performance, or Persuasion. And you get an additional language of your choice.
Nice.
And also at 3rd level, you get Fighting Spirit. At 3rd level, your intensity in battle can shield you and help you strike true. As a bonus action on your turn, you can give yourself advantage on weapon attack rolls until the end of the current turn. When you do so, you gain 5 temporary hit points. The number of temporary hit points increases when you reach certain levels in this class, increasing to 10 at 10th level and 15 at 15th level. You can use this feature 3 times, and you regain all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest. Just
Cool.
free temporary hit points.
Yeah. I'm not
At
complaining.
7th level, you get Elegant Courtier. At 7th level, your discipline and attention to detail allow you to excel in social situations. Whenever you make a charisma persuasion check, you gain a bonus to the check equal to your wisdom modifier. Your self-control also causes you to gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws. If you already have this proficiency, you instead gain proficiency in intelligence or charisma saving throws, your choice.
Nice.
It's the perfect fighter. The one that can't be mind controlled. The one that can't turn on their party and murder everyone in one turn.
Whatever.
Keep in mind, listeners, this is coming from the same guy who said that one of the best barbarian items is literally
Is the
an
thing
item
that
that can
makes you
make you
turn on
turn
your
on your
party.
party.
The difference is, you expect it from the barbarian, so you're not caught off guard, but the fighter? Nah. They'll mess you up.
I don't know, man. My barbarian's looking pretty scary.
10th level. Tireless Spirit. At 10th level, when you roll initiative and have no uses of Fighting Spirit remaining, you regain 1 use.
Cool.
Free uses. Rapid Strike. At 15th level, you learn to trade accuracy for swift strikes. Now, personally, I think this is one of the best abilities I've ever seen on any class ever. Purely because of how many attacks you can make as fighter.
Oh,
If you
boy.
take the attack action on your turn and have advantage on an attack roll against one of the targets, which, by the way, you do that automatically with Fighting Spirit, you give yourself advantage on attacks.
Yeah.
You can forego the advantage for that roll to make an additional weapon attack against that target as part of the same action. You
Nice.
can do so. You only do it once per turn, but you can do it once per turn.
So all of a sudden, those Loserville in fighters, those loser fighters who do 8 attacks per turn, you get 9 attacks per turn.
Yes. And then, at 18th level, Strength Before Death. Now, do you guys recall why I said Zealot Barbarian was my favorite type of barbarian?
Yeah, because they're really hard to kill, and even once they go down, they don't actually go down, but they keep fighting on.
That is exactly the same thing.
And then
that is exactly the same thing as what samurais get at 18th level. At 18th level, your fighting spirit can delay the grasp of death. If you take damage that reduces you to 0 hit points and doesn't kill you outright, you can use your reaction to delay falling unconscious, and you could immediately take an extra turn, interrupting the current turn. While you have 0 hit points during that extra turn, taking damage causes death saving throw failures as normal, and 3 death saving throw failures can still kill you. When the extra turn ends, you fall unconscious if you still have 0 hit points. But guess what? That doesn't matter because of one special ability that all fighters have called Second Wind. You can just heal yourself. You go down, but you don't.
But you get a whole extra 4 attacks on someone else's turn.
Or, hear me out, if you have advantage, and if you saved an action surge in the middle of someone else's turn when they thought they killed you, you get 9 attacks out of nowhere, and then you're still up.
Because you Second Wind.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But you can only use it once until you finish a long rest.
Twice. Because at this point, you've got an extra use from when you were 10th level.
No, you can only use it once per long rest. That's strength. That's how many times you can use it.
Oh, Strength Before Death. Yeah. That you can only use once.
But just like your party's like, oh god, everyone's dying, the fighter's taking so much damage, and he's what? He's alive.
What if you're my halfling named Cade who has endless source of liquid that just so happens to have the best healing potion in the game in it?
I think that's a little too specific.
Use your action to take a swig of that, and then you're doing great.
I think it's a little too specific, bud.
You 50, and whatever.
But yeah, just remember the scene from The Last Samurai where the samurai will get stabbed or they'll get shot and then they'll just get up and kill somebody. That's what you do. You get hit, you're dying, and then you just kill somebody anyway. Or 9 people if you're lucky enough. Why not? It's amazing. I love it.
But yeah. So, moving on. That's all the subclasses we're going to cover today. There are 2 other fighter subclasses. They're from different source books, though, so we want to just kind of keep it to the more basic ones that we, the PHB and then also Xanathars, because it adds so many subclasses for all the races or for all the classes. So we like to add that one in too. But we don't want to bother you guys with all this extra stuff, but we will tell you what they are and where to find them. One of them is it's called Banneret, and it's from Sword Coast, and it is very lore based from Sword Coast, so I don't really think it would be useful unless you're playing in the Sword Coast. So there's that, but it is pretty cool still. You can look into it if you like. And then also there's another one called Echo Knight, and it just came out recently at the time of recording this. A couple months ago, but still. It's called Echo Knight, and it's from Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, and it's pretty neat. And actually, if you guys remember, or if you listened in, when we did the Forest of the Dead one-shot, those 2 episodes, Hayden's character was an Echo Knight. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And then also,
cool
quick note about Banneret, if you take a look at it and it's something that you are interested in, but your DM might not be doing the Sword Coast, talk with your DM. You might be able to reflavor some things to fit their world.
Yeah, fit a different faction or anything like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's always something that's a possibility as long as you and your DM are able to work together on it.
Yeah,
I mean, anything can be accomplished by talking to your DM. I once, walked up to Ben with an idea of an item, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll see what I can do."
Yeah, and in my world, that's just knights from a country called Chaldeum. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Goddamn, one of the most popular places in your world. It's where pretty much our whole first campaign took place.
So moving on to role play.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I'm going to cut that or not, but we'll see.
Might be a fun blooper.
Might be a fun blooper. Moving on to role play. What are your guys' favorite things to try and role play with fighters?
Yeah, so for me, a fighter is very similar to a barbarian in terms of role play. You're kind of that strong man, but at the same time, the big difference that I find between fighters and barbarians is, in my opinion, fighters are more of the calculated. They put a lot more thought and meaning behind every action, whereas a barbarian is more likely to fly into an uncontrollable rage that they're just going to decimate everything in their path. Fighters, they like to strategize. Yeah. So being able to play somebody who, forms strategies and helps lead the team to a common goal, I think that's a huge thing to be able to role play as a fighter.
Yeah.
Personally, when it comes to role-playing a fighter, I really, really enjoy it, because fighters are one of those classes where anyone, depending on how you do it, can be a fighter. You could think of anyone and think of, how could I make a fighter do something similar like this, or just do this? And
yeah,
it's unlike a lot of the other classes where you have to devote yourself to a god, or you have to form a pact with this eldritch being, or you have to be born special, or you have to spend years studying. A fighter can just be somebody who is naturally pretty good at fighting. He's just picks up a sword and he swings it around. He's I think I can figure this out. I think I can do this. Or he puts on some armor and he's like, I think I can get used to this. Or maybe he's a soldier. Maybe he's been trained.
Yeah, it's nothing that a little bit of training can't fix.
Yeah, it's not like you don't have to spend years doing it like a wizard. You don't have to be born special like a sorcerer. You don't have to devote your entire life to it like a cleric or a paladin.
Yeah.
Literally anyone can pick up a sword, and they might not be very good with it, but they can learn how to use it.
Over time, they will become a fighter, quote unquote.
Yeah. So it's when it comes to role play, with some classes, your role play comes from your class, and that's a huge part of it. But with fighter, I feel
like just last episode with druids, it's your class is a big part of it.
Yeah. But with fighter, it's almost a blank slate. It gives you the most creative freedom to do whatever you want, to make whatever kind of character you want. And for those people who are human fighters are the most boring characters, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, because if you're a human fighter, that means you have 8, I believe, right? Because you get 7 ASIs from your class as a fighter, right?
Yeah, well, it's only human variant that gets an additional feat.
And then if you're a human variant, you get a whole extra feat. So hypothetically, if you take no ASIs, you could have 8 different feats. That is the most personalized character you can get. Literally, all of your abilities are chosen by you.
Yes,
pretty
but
much.
Even then, when it comes to roleplay, a human fighter can literally be from humans are from everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere in the world, there are humans. You could be a human that was raised in an elf citadel on the other side of the world.
They're like cockroaches.
Yeah, or you could be a human that was raised in a dank cave somewhere, smoking some dank fey kush, and you grew up and they were just and every now and then some rats would come out and you'd be like, I'm gonna hit them with a club, and then that's how you became a fighter. It's
yeah,
it's out there. You just have to create it.
Ben, I kind of want you to read what you actually have written in the doc here because I think it's really funny.
Fine, okay. Fighter is the ultimate utility class when it comes to roleplay. Literally anyone could be a fighter. Literally anyone. Most people are fighters. I'm a fighter. Mike is a fighter. Jake is a wizard. Not the point. This is how we prep for these episodes.
Yeah, there's one thing that's for certain is that I'm not a fighter.
We just have a massive document, and we just add notes to it every week.
Yeah. But
my
anyways.
notes are always the funniest, but that's just in my opinion, my humble opinion.
Me and Michael don't really crack jokes in the notes often. We normally just...
I try to keep the notes pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I let the jokes come naturally.
I totally agree. Fighters are, they're the most diverse and moldable classes in the whole entire game. They could be whatever the heck you want. Literally anything. Like, fighters come in all shapes and sizes, so it's up to you. They come in from all over the place, all forms of life. So really, you can, you could be like a hillbilly, you could be a fancy nobleman, like everything that you think about roleplay wise can come from anywhere as a fighter. You could be like shady, like a rogue. It doesn't matter. Like, you could be whatever you want if you're a fighter. There's literally like no limit.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on. I believe it is time for Ben's low-level item corner.
Welcome to my shop. Would you like some cheap items?
Need something?
Need something?
Need something?
Anyways, before we get demonetized, let's continue.
It's okay. Todd Howard doesn't own them anymore.
That's a good
It's
point.
even worse. What are you talking about? Now it's a big company that might care.
That's a good point.
Now it's a company that has intellectual property they just bought and are very sensitive about. You fool.
Anyways.
Love you, Microsoft.
We do love you, Microsoft. You should
I
sponsor us.
just
We
love
would
playing
love it.
my Xbox.
Yeah.
Definitely
I'm a
own an
PC
Xbox.
I'm a PC guy.
Yeah.
I have Windows 10.
I think we all use Windows. Yeah.
Yeah. Mac is bad.
Wait, no, we need those sponsors. Anyways, welcome to Ben's low-level item corner. Today's items, all of which are uncommon, so your DM shouldn't give you a hard time if you specifically say, hey, I'd like to go look for these. You never know, but these are uncommon items that I think will be fitting for pretty much any fighter. They're very useful, they're very good, and they're not too generalized. I feel like they're pretty specific, like this will help a fighter.
Yeah.
They're not like a cloak of protection or like a +1 weapon. Anyone would love a +1. A wizard would love a +1 dagger if they could just strap one all the time. So, my first thing, and this one I think is the best, literally the best for fighter, adamantine armor.
Nice.
And what adamantine armor does, it is literally, if you read the description of it, it is a coating that you can have applied to any armor for, I believe, 500 gold pieces. So there's already a set price for DMs, so they don't have to pull their hair out for it. There's already a set price. That might waver depending on the DM. But for about 500 gold pieces, you can have your armor coated in adamantine. And what it does is it makes any critical hit against you a normal hit.
Nice.
That is god tier.
That's so good.
Also, on the flip side of that, adamantine weapons do critical hit damage to any object or wall that you hit them with, or door.
Yeah.
So if you like to break down doors or smash walls, then that might be something to look into.
Smash objects, I guess.
Yeah.
Constructs.
Well, I don't know if it does the same thing.
I don't know. That might be a stretch, but
Might be a stretch, but your DM might be nice. The second one pairs really well with a lot of fighter builds, especially if you a longsword or a great sword or great axe or any strength weapon. The gauntlets of ogre power. Now, I get some people are going to be dexterity fighters, and there's really no point to having a high strength. But the gauntlets of ogre power, they make your strength 19.
Let's go.
Unless your strength is already higher than 19. They just make your strength 19. You just put them on, and your strength is 19.
Congrats. You're
Yes.
strong now.
But here's the thing. Gauntlets of Ogre Power are actually one of the very few things in 5th edition that pair with other items. There is a weapon that can only be wielded if you happen to be wearing Gauntlets of Ogre Power and a Belt of Giant Strength.
Really?
Yes. You need all 3 items in order to use them properly. So if you already have a Gauntlets of Ogre Power and your DM is, nice enough, you could, over time, maybe put together this particular combination of items and attune to all 3, and then you have this amazing weapon that only you can wield.
Nice.
And even if you're not a strength fighter, you have a belt of giant strength. And if someone ever takes away one of those things, you throw them all out, because what do you care? And then you go back to being a dex fighter. It's
You go back to
really
the build that you were already building.
Yes, exactly. Then there's the third, and I can attest to this from personal experience. It's a DM's worst nightmare, but it is a player's best friend, a
I loved
weapon
it.
of warning. A weapon of warning is a weapon that warns you when someone's about to attack you. You can never be surprised.
I love it.
You can never be
So
surprised.
nice.
You can never be caught off guard in combat.
My rogue had it. It was pretty great.
Yeah, a rogue with a weapon of warning is even worse. But a fighter, it's like, yeah, that's just a really good item. Like, that, I'll never be in a surprise round where I'm not aware of what's going on. That's awesome.
Turn to the rogue, who's just like constantly their eyes just like bulging from their head, just like looking all over the place in fear.
Yeah,
At least
now
my
you,
rogue.
now you don't even have to take alert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a couple times where I said your weapon of warning went off and then didn't follow it up with anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I haven't played Cade in a long time.
Yeah. I remember one time specifically, you were like, what just happened? What did you do?
What's going on?
There was danger,
Anyways.
but you didn't see it.
I guess. Anyways,
But yes, these are my 3 items. You have all 3. You can't be crit on, you can't be surprised, and your strength is automatically 19, and that can build up into a really good combination with a couple other items. So, not a terrible thing to have.
yeah.
Obviously, fighters are so diverse. It's like one of those things where you can build them so many different ways that there's no real telling what items you will find useful compared to someone else. But
Yeah.
generally speaking, low level, those are some really good options. And if you are a dexterity fighter and you're not really one for like wearing heavy armor that makes a lot of noise, the alternative to adamantine is mithril. Mithril you can have any armor made out of mithril, and it makes it so it doesn't give you disadvantage on stealth checks.
Yep.
Which is like exactly the opposite of adamantine, but still really good.
Yeah. But anyways, moving on. That's pretty much it for this episode, other than the fact that I wanted to talk about one of my fighters that I made. His name is Nines, or as most people are greeted by him, hello, I am 9K57, for he is a Warforged. And and he's just a cool dude. He's a miner. He doesn't remember much about his past. He only remembers about a year or two back. But for that year or two, he was a miner in a really deep mine, and so he always... Yeah, I like Nines a lot because he's one of the few characters that I'm like, this character, like, you could look at the model that I have for this character, and everything that's on his model is literally all of the things that he has. Like he has so little that he doesn't even have a backpack. And he's just like the things that you see is what he's got. He's got a shield, he's got an axe, he's got a shovel and a pickaxe and a little pouch for his gold, and that's pretty much it. You know? And so I don't know, I just really like that idea about him. It's pretty funny. But yeah, he's just a cool dude. He doesn't remember much about his past. But I mean, Jacob know a lot about the past, but we're in the middle of the game, and Michael and Ben are in the game, so I'm not going to tell you guys about his past.
Yeah, if you guys remember Bard episode, Jinty is in the same party as Nines.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude. He's one of those kind of guys. Originally, when I was making him at first, I was thinking about making him a paladin, but I didn't really want to have that connection to a god for him specifically. I didn't really feel like it was speaking his name, kind of. So I just made him a really cool dude instead. I made him a fighter, and instead, so like he's a fighter now, and he's actually a battle master, and he uses a lot of the maneuvers that are like bring the attention to me. He's a big tank. He has like a really high AC. It's like ridiculously high, especially because he's a Warforged too. I think he gets +1 just for being a Warforged. It's pretty great. But yeah, he's just like this big, nice tank guy. He like always tries to see the better side of people and gives a lot of second chances. for the better or for worse, depending on the person. Sometimes it's a little idiotic of him, but he doesn't really know much better.
Here's how I like to think of nines, just in a few words summed up.
Yeah.
Redemption, paladin, atheist.
I realize this is not important, but I'd like to point it out for anyone who might be questioning, since we haven't really covered them yet, it doesn't really matter. But paladins do not have to devote themselves to a god. Paladins can be paladins just from being so devout to themselves and to an oath that they gain power.
But I don't know, the paladin class and everything wasn't really speaking my name when I was building nines. It was like one of his first times that I threw him at a wall. I do that a lot, where I throw my characters at a wall, and every time I catch them again, I'm like, I'm gonna change this a little bit. I'll throw it again, see if it sticks.
Just for our viewers, though, don't feel like you have to have a god as paladin. It's cool if you do, but you don't necessarily need it.
Yeah, clerics need a god.
Clerics do need a god. If you don't have a god as a cleric, you don't have any magic as a cleric.
If you're a cleric, you gotta have a Patreon to subscribe to.
Same with warlocks, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. But anyways, I just said a very interesting word there. Which word did I say there, Ben? Can you remind me?
It was Patreon.
I'm trying to segue, Ben.
Patreon. Come join us and our growing community on Patreon, where you can find all of our podcast episodes early, before they're posted anywhere else, as well as some homebrew content made by the Travelers. And you can join our cool-ass Discord community.
I'll admit, which is mostly Ben, but sometimes maybe you'll get a Michael or Jacob thing.
Hey, Dalton sent me an idea, I'm just gonna make it. Like this. Nice. Earlier today, I'm doing
exactly.
it.
It'll probably be stuff like that, where it's like an idea from maybe one of us, but Ben will probably make it.
Since I wouldn't tell you what it was earlier, I'll tell you what it is now.
Oh, okay.
It was a sentient quiver that was constantly afraid of everything. A quivering quiver.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, I just realized. All right.
Quivers.
So, if that kind of speaks to you, get it? Because it's a sentient item.
Oh, no.
You can go ahead and check out our Patreon at Travelers Tips and Tales.
Maybe, I'm afraid they might not like it.
Alrighty. That's all we have. I'm just kidding. It's not actually our outro.
You can also check us out on YouTube at Travelers Tips and Tales. You can go to our Instagram at Travelers Tips and Tales. You can go to our Facebook, Travelers Tips and Tales. You can go to our Twitter at Tips Tales. You can go to our Tumblr, Travelers Tips and Tales. Or if you have anything that you guys want to talk to us about, or if you guys want to send us a really cool story that you have, email us at travelerstipsandtales@gmail.com. Also, I've been working on something for a while for you guys, and I'm just going to say it's going to be ready by the time this episode gets released, and just hope that that's true. We now have a website, travelerstipsandtales.com. Check it out.
Alrighty,
add us on Steam, why not? You might as well. with everything else that we have,
Play some Among Us with us.
Add me on PSN,
No, Microsoft. Xbox. You gotta
add me on Xbox Live. We'll play Halo.
Now we gotta buy Xboxes, guys.
I have one already, you fool.
Oh yeah, Michael's ahead of the game.
You absolute fool.
And also last week, we had I wouldn't say argument, but I thought that one of our patrons was high enough tier to shout out during the episode, but he actually isn't. But that's fine.
And at the same time, we realized afterwards that we were supposed to do it on the first of the month, not as soon as they subscribe.
Yeah,
I would like to point out, I knew this, which is why I was so confused when they brought it up.
Yeah, but I was wrong, which isn't very rare, I'll admit. But I mean, he's a cool guy anyways, so he gets 2 free shoutouts. Congrats.
Yeah,
He is in our description, though.
check out your local game stores. Ours has supported us a lot, so
Yeah.
go show your support for them, especially during these difficult times where small stores are not doing so well.
Yeah. Even if you're poor, just maybe buy a set of dice. Everyone can always use dice.
Or just tell people about it. That's
Normally
what
not
we
too
do.
expensive.
I mean,
Yeah,
I've been
or even
broke
just
for the
go-
past
yeah,
3
yeah,
months.
Yeah, give them some publicity. Game stores are really cool. They're really, I don't know, they're just really neat to find new people to play games with. But yeah. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. So catch us next week when we publish our next episode. This has been Travelers, Tips, and Tales. I'm Jake.
Mike.
And I'm Ben.
And see you guys later.